And hello, students. It's good to be back with you. This is your favorite teacher, Mr. Jacobson, ready to teach you a little bit more about the history of medieval Europe. So let's begin. So last time we talked about, we talked a little bit about Constantine and his converting to Christianity, allowing Christianity to spread throughout the Roman Empire even after the West fell and the Byzantine Empire continued on. Catholicism and Christianity continues to spread. So later we talked about Charlemagne. He also was a Christian, and he was crowned by the emperor to be the not the emperor, the pope, to be the next emperor. And then Charlemagne had some sons, had a son who was weak, and then his empire was broken up into three parts, and then that was the end of that. So we're going to talk about the Magyars, and this will be really quick. And then following the Magyars, we're going to go into the Vikings. Okay, so Hungarian legend says that the Magyars' leader, Prince Arpad, he led the Hungarians over the Carpathian mountains in 896. So we have some invaders coming over the Carpathian mountains. They're getting ready to invade. Now the Magyar raiders pillaged across Europe from Denmark all the way to the north to the Iberian um, Peninsula, and the Magyar raids weakened the power of the Carolingian or the Franks and the Italian kings. So you have the Magyars are coming through, and they're just causing havoc everywhere, as far as Denmark and Germany, and all the way down to Spain, which is where the Iberian Peninsula is. So we have some instability going on in Europe, and that's going to cause a power shift. So here's Europe in 912 CE. So there's a man by the name of King Otto the First. See, there are a bunch of kings and lords who lived in Germany and also in France, because now the empire that Charlemagne put together is so weak that other kings and other lords are rising up because of the lack of leadership and the lack of political um, stability. So you have King Otto and other lords. They kind of unite together. They kind of prop up King Otto as and join the battle with him to fight against the Magyars. And what happened was they won. Otto defeated the Magyars and thus opened up the Holy Roman Empire under Otto the First. And we also have King Stephen the First. When the Magyar King Stephen the First converted to Christianity, he was crowned King of Hungary by Pope Sylvester II. He made Latin the official language of the royal court, and he set up churches throughout Hungary. So you have King Otto, who was crowned the Holy Roman Empire, and then we have popes also kind of endorsing Magyar kings who were defeated by Otto the First, and they're also now converting to Christianity, and they're saying, well, then you can be crowned the Emperor of Hungary, and Otto will be crowned the emperor of of this Holy Roman Empire, which is mostly Germany, and so you got a bunch of emperors popping up at the endorsement of the Catholic Church, which was kind of confusing. Next, we're going to talk about the Vikings. So this is where the Vikings come from. We have Norway, Sweden, some parts of Finland, and Denmark. So in this area, especially up in these areas, it's extremely cold. Uh, one would say frigid, and Denmark it has more temperate weather. So Ingolfur Arnarsson is known as the first permanent Nordic settler of Iceland. We have Leif Eriksson. He was the son of Eric the Red, was a Norse explorer. Norse simply just means north, as in north, south, east, west, who is considered the first European to have landed in North America. So, Leif Eriksson gets the credit for settling in North. Well, he didn't really settle. He more like landed there, and they didn't stay very long. But he gets credit for finding Canada, basically what we call Canada. But there was really no settlement going on there, so he found it, but nothing really came of it. Now Eric the Red, his father, he founded the settlement of Greenland. So they came from Iceland, and then they found Greenland. Now, I don't know if you've ever noticed or heard this, but Iceland is actually very beautiful and green and warm ish. Greenland is just the opposite. And Eric the Red, when he found Greenland, he wanted others to come settle there, so he called it Greenland. But it's not green, it's cold. And so it's just so interesting. We have one island called Greenland, which is freaking freezing, and then we have Iceland, which is actually not ice. It's not made of ice. It's not, it's actually livable and warm there. So, at certain times of the year. So we have Viking leadership sprouting up. Um, with Eric and with Leif, and also now we see the long ships that they used to conduct their raids throughout Europe. So we'll show you more pictures, but these were they were fast, they were quick, because they were so narrow. And if people worked a really in synchronized order, it felt like a blitz. Like you see their ships, and with minutes they could be on the shores from the time you saw them from from the coast. And then at that point, it's just too late. They're raiding, they're pillaging, and it's a blitzkrieg. So here's a modern replica. As you can see, it's long, it's short, it's got a wind sail. You got the people working as well on it. So you know, if you have 20, 30 of these coming up on shores, and there's on average 20 per person in there, then in a ship, then you have a problem coming your way. And the Vikings weren't. They were barbaric. I mean, they went through. They found whatever was valuable. They raped. They pillaged. They did whatever they did to their heart's content. They didn't have any real honor code or anything like that. So they were very scary. In fact, Viking comes. They call them Vikings, but Viking simply meant like the raiders. Okay. So the Vikings finally invade England, and so Viking invasion of England began in June 8th, 793, when Norsemen simply means Northmen, destroyed the Abbey church and framed for its many saints and missionary works. So we have people who are now getting sacked by Vikings, and so it's going to cause people in England, or in most of them were Anglo-Saxons at that time. So here we have a Anglo-Saxon chronicle of how they describe the attack from the Vikings. So you could go ahead and pause it and read that. I'm not going to take too much time there. And in 875, King Harold Finehair um, led a fleet from Norway to Scotland to conquer the Vikings who had settled there. So we have uh, we have Vikings who are now trying to settle in Scotland and other places which we call England today. So they're just not going there to raid, they're going there to live. And that's going to cause a big problem for the people who are in England. In 878, King Alfred of Wessex defeated a Viking army led by King Guthrum at Edington. So Guthrum is advancing. King Alfred fights them. He pushes them back. Later, Guthrum converts to Christianity and was adopted by King Alfred. Interesting. So he's defeated. Guthrum's defeated. And later, Guthrum converts to Christianity, and then the very king who defeated him uh, adopts him. By the Treaty of Wedmore, Guthrum ruled over East Anglia, Essex, and western Mercia. So here's a little map here you can see. So Wessex is where King Alfred was from, and he gives them Essex, East Anglia, and Mercia, which is a big chunk of land. So interesting how that all turned out. So here we can kind of see it more. So all this area in here is the kingdom of Guthrum, and here's Eddington, where Alfred came from. Vikings from Norway invaded England in 1066. Vikings are still going to England. Vikings defeated in 1066. Let's see, 1066 they come. 1066 they're defeated, so it didn't take too long. The Battle of Stamford Bridge in England took place on September 25th, 1066. King Harold Godwinson of England defeated the army of Harold uh, Hardra, Hardrada. It's pronounced Hardrada, I believe. King of Norway. So we have the Battle of Stamford Bridge here. The end of the Viking Age in England. So the defeat of King Harold Hardrada by Harold Godwinson in 1066 marks the end of the Viking Age in England. So that was it for the Vikings in England, and so the Vikings simply, like Guthrum, they just sort of mixed in with the other people, and they just sort of formed this Anglo-Saxon, what we now have England today. So the Varangian Rus, the Rorik was the king of Varangian Rus. Varangian Rus were Vikings who migrated into Russia and Ukraine from Scandinavia in 9th and 10th centuries. They conducted trades, piracy, mercenary warfare. They traveled the rivers from the Danube to the Volga into the Black Sea, the Caspian Sea, and the port of Constantinople. So we have Vikings who are just, I imagine, just trying to get away from the freaking cold. So they land in from Norway and Sweden and Finland, and they come to Denmark, and then slowly they're starting to migrate east, and they're going into like Ukraine and Russia. So we have Viking culture being spread lots of places, and as it's spreading, it's also changing. Here we have Varangian raiders, just pictures here that you can see. Here we have Varangian Rus trading slaves, and it's just a sad part of history. No one should be a property of another. Um, so Rurik and his brothers Truver and Cineas arrived in Ladoga. In 862, Ladoga would become the capital of Varangian Rus. So here's a map that kind of shows the plights the of the Vikings. So this is where they originally came from, Scandinavia. By the way, I come from Viking heritage. Be with a name like Jacobson. My ancestors came from Scandinavia, particularly Denmark, and I'm like a fourth Norwegian. So these are my ancestors we're talking about, which apparently weren't very nice people. Um, so we have where they came from. We have um, we have Eric the Red, who left Iceland to Greenland, told everybody it's great here. I'm calling it Greenland because it's so warm. So people from Iceland left Greenland and went, oh my goodness, you lied to us, but they stayed anyway because it was a long voyage. If you heard my son just now say "Daddy," that I tried to pause it before he said anything, but I was too late. So anyway, so we have Greenland. Erica the Red kind of lies to everybody, and so they move here, and eventually Eric the Red's son Leif moves over here, and he finds North America, mainly Canada, but they don't really stay very long, according to my understanding. And then we have the attacks here on on Ireland and England by the Vikings, and then we have down here where they came and and settled in Denmark, and of course they're moving out towards the Ukraine area. Here's the Volga right here, and Russia would be this area where we just discussed where they headed over, and so they're going all around Europe. So Vikings are getting around, and by let's see, about 1000 CE, they kind of hit the zenith of reaching the North America according to the records there. So this is a little understanding about Viking women. Depending on how rich their husband was, depending on how much the kind of attire that they wore, for every 1,000 dirhams, which would be money, gold, I guess, if you want to call it that. For every 1,000, they would then make they would make a ring for the wife. So so then the wife would wear it around their neck or their bosom somewhere, is what they say here in this and here, and that would kind of signify that their husband was, prominent, and so therefore she was prominent as well. And that's that. So we're gonna go ahead and end right here. Looking forward to discussing all these interesting things with you, and hopefully you have a good day. Remember to write your summary, and I'll see you when we get back at the first of the week. Okay, bye bye.